Now from here on, we proceed to the technical session 1. Before I proceed to the technical session 1, I have some instructions for the participants who are attending this conference. I'll just read it out. Due to the expected size of the participants, the link will permit only to attend the conference and interact via the chat box. Participants can interact via the chat box. Kindly avoid posting general messages, personal introduction, and formal greetings in the chat box or in the question answer area. We might question answer sessions are arranged for the technical sessions only. It is between 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Participants who want to ask questions, clarifications to the speaker may post the same in the chat box along with name and affiliation. This will be clarified with the speaker during the question answer session. Questions can be posted in the chat box when the lecture is in progress. And please be aware that at the time of the valedictory session, a feedback link will be shared with all participants in the chat box. The feedback link will not be shared individually, and it will not be sent through emails. So please ensure that you fill the feedback form which is posted in the valedictory session. And we'll be pleased to let you know that all the participants who attend the entire sessions will be bestowed with the e-certification. Now, I would like to introduce Professor P. Kaliraj, who is the session chair for the technical session 1. Professor P. Kaliraj, Vice Chancellor, Bharatiyar University, Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. He has 31 years of teaching and research experience. He is experienced in university administration and also have functioned in various capacities such as officiating Vice Chancellor, Dean of Faculty at AC College of Technology, and Head Center for Biotechnology at Anna University. He was in the Medical Research Council as an emeritus medical scientist in the Center for Biotechnology at Anna University. Between 1999 and 2004, he had been a research collaborator with the National Institute of Health in Maryland, USA, Glasgow University, UK, and University of Illinois in Rockford, USA. He has received the Basic Scientist Research Award for strengthening the basic science research from the University Grants Commission in the year 2009. And he has also been bestowed with the Lifetime Achievement Award in 2013 from the Biotechnology Research Society of India. I now hand over the proceedings to the session chair, Professor P. Kaliraj. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Respected Dr. J. Ramachandran, Chancellor of AMET University, the former Vice Chancellor of our Bharatiya University and the present Vice Chancellor of AMET University, Colonel Dr. G. Thiruvasagam, Dr. B.S. Ponmudiraj, Dr. Malini Shankar, Professor R.P. Diwari and other distinguished speakers, Dr. O.R.S. Rao, Dr. Rajan Velukar, Dr. Aditya Sastri, Dr. Mamta Rani Agarwal, Dr. Rajesh Ramachandran, Dr. Dinesh Singh, and our General Secretary, Pankaj Mittal. First of all, I would like to thank you for giving the opportunity to me to get into the important session. I am a medical scientist. I would like to give one medical example linking with the national education policy, which is applicable for arts and science everywhere. When the genetic engineering took place, a great shape, we all were busy with analyzing the genome of human, genome of parasite, and we were able to analyze the full genome of human and most of the parasites, including the virus and all. The next question is, so what? What you are going to do with genome? It has come to the post-genomic analysis. Using the information of the genome of the human and the parasite, how you are going to develop vaccine, how you are going to develop a drug, and how you are going to develop several other things which is going to be useful to the society. Now, we have come to the stage of new education policy. When you come to the new education policy, it has given a very good shape. Excellent. We can find A to Z about the school education, higher education, continuing education, and lifelong education, just like a genome era. Now we have come to the post-NEP analysis. How we are going to implement it? Who is going to be responsible for that? Is it the policymakers or the concerned university or the joint venture of the universities with the Association of Indian Universities? It is going to be an important point. Now, if you just look into the evaluation of education policy, Dr. Thiruvasavam rightly pointed out, is it the first time we are framing the policy? Policy making is the job of the government. It has happened from 1948-49. Have we implemented? Have we adopted? And what you have done up till now? Is it something like that? The policy so far made up to 1992, 2016 are not in line with the thinking of the human, means Indians? No. The policy have been made from time to time, and it has been implemented through various resources, various constitutional provision of our country. And if you just look into that, there is a need for forming the strategy. We have everything in this one policy, which has been made by Dr. K. Kasturirangan Committee in 2019 and implemented after discussing with various stakeholders. Now what we are going to do? If you just look into the major reforms, ultimately, what should be the net result? What is expected? 50% gross enrollment ratio by 2035. Now we are talking about multidisciplinary education in terms of flexibility of subjects, like multiple entry exit points, UG program, PG program, integrated program, MPhil to be discontinued, credit transfer and all. Did we have all these things earlier? Yes, we were having UG program, 3 years mainly, in some places 4 years also. And PG program, generally it was only 2 years, because most of the PG program of 1 year, it was not having acceptability even by University Grants Commission. The PG program of United Kingdom is not accepted by the government of India because the program, the number of credits are not sufficient. So now we are in the position to come out with the solution, how we are going for 1 year PG program and how we are going for integrated 5-year bachelor's and master's program that we have introduced in many universities from time to time and we have closed due to various reasons. So we have to analyze all those things and we have to also find out the ways and means for having the better credit transfer and academic bank of credits. Now, outcome pillars. It has been clearly mentioned, as far as the teaching is concerned, it's not only learning, you have to go for relearning and lifelong learning. Why lifelong learning? The technology that you are having now, it is not going to exist after 3 years. After 10 years, it will be entirely different. The type of job that you are having it now, it's not going to exist after 3 years. So even the student who learned today, he has to relearn and he has to equip himself to retain the job sustainability of the job. Otherwise, they will be losing the job. You are seeing in many places our students are losing the job just because of they are not having the knowledge which will be having with the technology improvement. So lifelong learning is an important point in NEP 2020. Then flexibility is there. Then holistic and multidisciplinary. Then creators of knowledge and be the job providers better than the job seekers. Now the question is how we are going to introduce this multidisciplinary, especially when you talk about various aspects like having the one multidisciplinary institute every district, how we are going to have the faculty, how we are going to have the things which are going to be suitable for that particular place of that particular state. So now we are in the position of socio-economically disadvantaged groups, categories, where the NEP is very particular to take care of in terms of gender identities. Then socio-cultural identities, to give importance for scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBC, then geographical identities, then giving importance for the disabilities, then socio-economic conditions. So all these things, the policy is telling. So now you have to find out the ways and means how we are going to implement it. Now, if you just look into the facets of exclusion in higher education, lack of knowledge of higher education opportunities, which is prevalent in most other places, then economic opportunity cost of pursuing higher education, what we are going to do to improve the economy or giving the benefit to the students in terms of reducing the fee structure and all for looking into the higher education, then financial constraints, admission process, geographical language barriers, poor employability potential of many higher education programs, lack of appropriate student support mechanism. All these things have to be adapted from time to time and depending on the state in which we are originating and the state policy and the state educational policy coming under the umbrella of the central government. Now, the All India Survey on Higher Education, I would like to give the snapshots very briefly. If you just look into the state-wise highest student enrollment, if you just think about it, UP is having the maximum, 49.3 male and 50.7 female. Then the Maharashtra 54.95 and 45.5 and Tamil Nadu 50. Almost most of the states, 6 states, they have the equal opportunities for the gender, both for the male as well as for the female. Then if you look into the female enrollment, the female students in the following, about the 6 states is almost 54.43% of total female students, which shows that the good practice of these states have to be taken for analysis before we go for the common policy for implementing NEP 2020. And this is the gender distribution of the PG as well as the MPhil, PG, UG diploma certificates and social categories like, all categories, SC, ST, OBC and all. So in all the cases, I am very happy to note that female candidates are on par with male, except in some places, except for some courses like, some of the diploma courses, some of the PhD programs. Otherwise, we have to see the equal opportunities and we have to look into how to improve the female enrollment ratio for the PhD program, then diploma programs and some of the certificate program. Then standalone institutions providing the diploma program. It is more in Maharashtra with about 669 polytechnics with 82% male and 18% female. And persons with a disability also, it has been categorically nicely, the category-wise distribution of PWD students have been given. And if you just look into that, it is very clear that 78 out of 100 male in total is having the opportunity. So we cannot say the female has been not given the opportunity. The female has been given the opportunity. They have got very good distribution in the looking into the taking the opportunity. Then if you just look into the teachers also, more male teachers in Bihar, Jharkhand and Uttar Pradesh, and more female teachers in Kerala, Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Delhi and Goa. It might be quite possible that the type of job that the male members are taking from the other field might be different. So we have to look into that to attract more and more male members to equate with the female teachers in terms of this thing in some of the states where they are having the uneven distribution. Then state-wise number of universities we are having, the college density has been given. The major states which is having the much college density includes your Telangana, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan, Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu. Then average enrollment per college is coming under more for the Bihar, then Delhi, then Bengal, Uttar Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. Is it because of the less number of institutions in those places? Then gender-wise enrollment, if you just look into that, there is a growth in female enrollment in more as compared to the male enrollment. Per 100 male students, number of female students has increased from 85 in 2014 to 95 in 2018-19, which is confirming the point that I already told. Then the distribution of enrollment among the various categories, like general, scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, other backward classes. So on par with general, the resource categories are also given the opportunity. Now you have to look into what are the parameters responsible for making this distribution of scheduled caste, scheduled tribe and other backward classes to come on par with general, that we are having it now, and that we have to adapt it, or that we have to improve, or that we have to change in the states where we are not having such type of strategies. Then more enrollment at state public universities and more funding to go to the public universities. That is one of the important points. And you have the funding to various aspects. State public universities are there. Then the public open universities are there. The funds for the deemed universities are very less, and we have to see the uniform distribution of the funds in such a way that more opportunities will be given to all students, and the fee structure will be modified, and there will be the equal fee structure, whether you are doing it in a public university or open university or deemed university or any one of the universities. The policy is needed to improve the status of the deemed universities, improve the status of the private universities, to make sure that we are bringing the equity in terms of gender, equity in terms of educational institution, equity in terms of all. Then how to improve the GER, which is an important aspect. GER improvement is the one which is a big question. Now, if you just look into the National Education Policy 2030, as you told that 50% by 2035, then gross enrollment ratio that we have seen in all the places. Then let us see how this gross enrollment in higher education is distributed. Of course, with the male, female almost same, or in some places more male and more female. And if you just look into the states leading in gross enrollment ratio, Sikkim has the maximum, then Tamil Nadu, then Delhi, then Pondicherry, then Chandigarh. Now, shall we take the above states in leading in GER as a role model or base for other states? Today, we have to remember that the constitutional obligation of the government of India to education and educational institutions in the states of our country, regional, linguistic and cultural diversities that are deep rooted in our country. There is a primary need for creating implementation ecosystem for adaptation of this new education policy by all the states of independent republic. We have to consult each and every state how they have come to this particular GER. What is a success for them? And we also have to look about the problem in the states where the GER is less. And is there any possibility for adopting the good practice of that? So the implementation of the federal system is very much essential. We talk about the single umbrella bodies which is controlling the education. I would like to say, in umbrella, there are so many umbrella bars which is taking care of the cloth. Now these bars should be the states. Unless all the states are given the responsibility to be in the committees of our regulatory council, it is not possible for the single regulatory council to prepare the strategies for the entire country. There is a need for the nomination of the statutory body of the state government. Each state government should have the nomination who has to work with the National Higher Education Regulatory Council to tell about their problems, to tell about their good practice, and tell about everything. Then, coming into the policies, like a reservation policy of teacher recruitment, student admission, and each state have their own policy. If you just look into Tamil Nadu, we are having 69% reservation for the admission. And similarly for the teachers also. Many states, they have come out with the success because of the policies of the reservation, taking care of the scheduled caste, taking care of the scheduled tribe, and other backward classes, and so on. So we have to look into the strategy of the relation between the regulatory bodies, which is the cloth of the umbrella, and the umbrella bars, that is the state government. The state government nomination of the statutory body has to nominate the people to work with these regulatory bodies to prepare the strategy which can be easily implemented by all the states. Now, how to incorporate the equity and inclusion? The good practices to adopt. Shall we follow the good practices adopt? As I told you earlier, what are the good practices followed in the leading states? I don't have much details about the other states. I would like to tell about Tamil Nadu, from which I belong. One of the schemes which was very successful in Tamil Nadu was free laptop scheme. The government of Tamil Nadu distributes free laptops to cooperative and college students in the state. The free laptops will be distributed to a total of 15.18 lakh students this year. The free laptop scheme was first introduced in the year 2011 by then Chief Minister. So far, 37,88,528 students have received laptops at an outlay of 5,552 crores. This creates incentive to the students after completing the +2. They have the hope. If they come to the higher education, they have the possibility of getting the scholarship. They have the possibility of getting the fee reduction, and also the dream material like laptop, which is not possible for the common man. For his son or daughter, they are able to get. That is responsible for the betterment of the education. The government of Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal also introduced the free laptop scheme. Then the benefits of Tamil Nadu government free laptop scheme, it removed digital divide, globe on the lap of students, access to ambient knowledge, rich in information, reachability. When we went for online examination, it was successful in most of the universities, including the arts and science universities. Then good practice 2, increasing the employability potential. In order to increase employability potential, it involves industries in curriculum design, curriculum delivery, 20 to 30%. We introduce these industrial components in most of the curriculum. Matching the curriculum with the state-of-the-art industrial requirements, say industries 4 and 5. And during this year, 2021, most of the universities, we introduced the industry 4 and 5 components. In Bharatiya University, in all our curriculum, we introduced. Start from what skills industries expect from students through academic industry interface. Many universities have started looking for the industries to involve with the universities, including the affiliated institutions. Then increase employability potential. It is also give training to the teachers in the industry for 3 to 4 weeks. Make the students to get experimental feel by arranging industrial visits, mentor from industry, industrial problems, and so on. It is by most universities and also many deemed universities. Now the private universities and deemed universities, they have very good exposure to the industry. And somehow the government institution is lacking, but now the government is very keen to go for that. Then good practice 3, free education to poor and meritorious students. If I just, each university, they have their own free education scheme. In Bharatiya University and our affiliated colleges, one student in every class is chosen through applications and interview through process for free education. And this has been initiated by Professor Tiruvasagam when he was Vice Chancellor here. Like this, after that, many universities have started in their own way. But government has its much more scheme. They have a lot of scholarship scheme. And this scheme is based on the academic status, first graduate, previously studied government, then marks obtained in the previous studies. So free education has to be there in much institution. In fact, Professor Tiruvasam wanted 5 students for each branch. Right now we are having only 1. We might increase more. We want the education 2020 Government of India policy to give liberalizing that. All these things each university has to demand. And demand, where from the Government of India is going to give. They have to plan the strategies. Just like plan the strategy for the education which is going to be number 1 in the world. Now the Government of India along with the Association of Indian Universities and other universities, we have to prepare the strategy for implementing this nice scheme. Now, good practice 4, the supply of free bicycle. This is mainly useful for many government. Many government has given, not only government of Tamil Nadu, schemes of backward class, MBC department, they supply of free bicycle. All students, boys and girls who are studying in +2, standard in government aided, partly aided schools are eligible to get free bicycle. Free bus pass holders are also eligible for the benefit under the scheme. So like that, a number of schemes have been introduced in many states, including Tamil Nadu. And these are the parameters giving the hope for implementing the education 2020 to go for the inclusivity and equality. Now the lack of knowledge of higher education opportunities will be solved by voice response information system. It has already started in many universities. Economic opportunity cost by reducing the fees and more government funding, then more scholarship for merit, marketing advertisement, free transportation, handloom with industries, academic industry interface, technology-based support system. All these are the possible solutions for implementing the education, this new education policy 2020 to reach the public. Now, these are the possible solutions I told. Then I would like to tell the question Professor Tiruvasam was telling. Let us start education policy 2020 from this year onwards, yes. In fact, we started the education 2020 even before that. When our Chancellor, Banwarilal Purohit, he called all the Vice Chancellor. He wanted to introduce Industries 4 and Industries 5. At the time, the new education policy, it was in the draft form. We took the draft form and we started introducing whatever things possible we can introduce at this stage. Now, new education policy has a huge number of data, huge opportunities, a lot of things which can be implemented. Now, I would like to give you an example. We are going to a hotel. We are hungry. The hotel has everything, A to Z, just like our multidisciplinary, education. But what you can eat? If you are a vegetarian, you are going to take only a vegetarian dish. Even if you are non-vegetarian, you are going to select the items which is easily possible to eat by you. Similar to that, new education policy has everything. You have the opportunities for taking everything. And you are talking about 50% equal means GER after 2035. What you are going to do now? Adopt whatever the materials that can be adopted now, which will be giving the ways and means for implementing the new education policy successfully. Our university is a multidisciplinary with the social science, arts and education. And we have linked with so many engineering institutions, MSME, industries, and many hospitals. That is the one, our multidisciplinary for our medical field. We have the industries relation, that is a multidisciplinary for our engineering. That we call it as a multidisciplinary. It is not necessary I should have a medical college. It is not necessary I should have an engineering college. So whatever the schools that we are having, I give one example: biotechnology, chemical sciences, computer sciences, life sciences, mathematics, physical science. We have a link with all the allied fields. We make it as a multidisciplinary thing, which is being promoted by NEP 2020. I don't want to go behind the formula to form a medical college or engineering college or law college. Each university has to adapt whatever things we can adapt for our things, which will be possible to make use of things even to our affiliated colleges. I am answerable to my 133 affiliated colleges. I have certificate course now. I have the certificate course, 19 certificate course. It is being run by my affiliated institutions. It hasn't started way back, even when Through Asum was there. Then value-added courses. This year we have introduced 76 by the university. Affiliated colleges 52. Job-oriented courses 51 by the university. Affiliated colleges 45. Diploma courses 13 by affiliated colleges. PG diploma courses 8 in university, 31 in affiliated colleges. Then UG program 1 in university, 13 in affiliated institution. PG program 43 in the university, 70 in affiliated colleges. Vocational courses 2 now, 2 in the university, 13 in affiliated colleges. It is not the one-day one. It hasn't started way back. Now what we have to do is to synchronize with the new education policy 2020. How we are going to merge this UG program, PG program with this diploma course and certificate course and vocational courses. When we are going to start? I am not starting today, but I will be waiting for the government to plan the strategies. The Association of Indian Universities to plan the strategies. How it is possible? The strategies might not be working for all the universities. It might be working for one state, but might not be working for another state. So all the states, they have to join together and they have to work for that. And funding. Now we are talking about, I would like to tell about one more point. I don't want to talk much about that. Only this year we entered into our, NIRF ranking we are having for the last several years, starting from through Assam days up till now. We're in the same level of universities category 13 and 21 in overall categories. The first time we entered into the Times Higher Education ranking. 19 among the Indian universities, and 818 in the world ranking. Now, you can ask the question, what about the other universities? Many universities, many institutions, they have not made ventures. Now we have to encourage more and more universities, they have to enter into the venture and look into where we are in the ranking and to improve the ranking. And we have some of the social activities. Now I would like to tell in terms of new education policy 2020 for adopting that. It has been clearly told by Government of India. Even the NEP means new education policy, by the time we were completing the new education policy, the Industries 4 and Industries 5 have been taken place, and people started talking about that. One has to work on that. This is the one of NEP 2020. They have not touched completely, but they told it is coming up. It is a new field. By the time we were working on Industries 4, the Industries 5 has come. We wanted to give a means of book. Our chancellor and our minister, they take only books for reading. So I wanted to present a book on Industries 4 to Honorable Chancellor. I could not get any book except one or two. Not available. Then I told our computer science department, you are all doing very good in computer science. You are going to America and you are number one, the top ranking institutions and top ranking industries in USA, UK and other places are Indians. Why don't you write books on that? You have completed 5 textbooks, one on Internet of Things, one on artificial intelligence, one on augmented reality, one on big data. The book has been accepted by Taylor and Francis. And by March it will be introduced. I'll go to my chancellor and my minister, I'll give the books to him. This is the situation today. We have a lot of opportunities. The Indians are having a lot of opportunity things. And we didn't have to bother about the textbook written by somebody. Those days there will be some popular books. It will be, put into the system and the people will be adopting. It is not like that. Now you are having your internet. And you don't need conventional libraries. You are going for the library by using your internet, and you are going for that. So we have to go for that. Now, all these components of digital transformation, we have introduced in all the curriculum. I will show you that. The Industries 4 has been introduced to all the departments. I'll give an example of big data and data analytics as a core subject for commerce, social science, management, etc. Internet of Things has been given as a core subject, core papers for the environmental sciences, physics, medical physics, etc. Augmented reality for chemistry, textiles, communication, media, artificial intelligence, all departments. Robotic process automation, all departments. This we have introduced in 2021. I would like to say I partially adopted NEP 2020 from Bharatiya University in whatever way I could contribute for that. It varies from department to department. It varies from university to university. It changes from state to state. Who has to regulate? Now we have the best possible policy. Now let this umbrella regulatory body taking the bars, umbrella bars. I don't know the technical name for that. That should be the state government representation. And they have to join together. I would like to request Association of Indian Universities to look into that. Preparing the policy is okay. For implementing that, we need people from all the sector. Acceptability of the policy. What we can adopt for the state, what we can adopt for my university, what we can adopt for the law university. All those things we have to plan the strategies. And Association of Indian University with so many stalwarts like Dr. O.I.R.S. Rao, you have to represent. I'm happy that The Association of Indian University has selected me as one of the governing council member. And last two meetings, I was a silent observer. I will start talking now. Next meeting. So now, finally, sir, I would like to conclude. Most of the practices we are having in all the states. Now, how to synchronize? Now you talk about autonomous degree issuing certificate colleges. Or the students are going to accept? Yes, they will accept. If they are having 100% job opportunities after getting from the college. How many colleges you are having? Now NEP wants one district, one university, multidisciplinary university, might be in 2035. But how we are planning ourselves? You are talking about cluster colleges. If there are about 4 or 5 cluster colleges, you join together. I know the difficulties in clustering the affiliated colleges. Most of the colleges are run by big shots, not only in Tamil Nadu, throughout the country. If 5 colleges are becoming cluster college, who is heading that? Who is going to give the solution for that? Who is going to prepare the strategy for that? Now, what about the students? I am having 135 colleges. And there will be vice chancellor in 2025 trying to cluster 135 clustered into 15. What strategy I have to initiate? You have to tell me. And who is going to head it? Who is going to accept? And what will be the value of the degree in the global market? What name you are going to give? I am from Anna University. When Anna University was split into 5, Anna University of Technology, Coimbatore, Tirunelveli, and all those things, there was a lot of problem when the degrees taken to the international market. What is this Tirunelveli, Anna University? What is this Coimbatore? Then the government has made into one. I was vice chancellor for merger. I was vice chancellor when all the 5 Anna University of Technology merged into one. Now, we talk about the cluster colleges. What name you are going to give for the cluster college? Suppose 5 cluster colleges run by 5 big shot. Are you going to take the first name of those 5 people and give the name for the cluster college? PRPVC, MRMBC, what name they will be having? What kind of recognition government of India is going to give? It is a policy of government. But what is the strategy of people like us? What will be the strategy of a vice chancellor like me? To cluster these things. I am not going to cluster it. I am going to be here only up to 2022. But I have to prepare the strategy for the vice chancellor who is going to come in 2023, 2025. I have to tell my state government how to make the policies which will be suiting for them. I have about 15 government arts colleges. I am having about 6 constituent colleges, which are the strength of government of Tamil Nadu for making the GER to 50. We have the government arts colleges in the rural areas, hilly region, and the fee structure is only 2,000 rupees per year for others, 800 rupees for scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and hilly region people. Now when we are introducing all these things, globalization, internationalization, and competing with your international market, with these institutions, are we going to close all these government institutions and going for a new institutions? Implementing the policy? Not possible. Now strengthening that. What kind of funds we are going to get? There is a need for liberal funds like RUSA funding. I got 100 crores for Bharatiya University and expecting 300 crores after some time. It's our own university. I could not spare with my affiliated institutions. I could not spare with my government institution. How to improve my government institution, who are the backbone of the government, backbone of the society. Many students who got graduated from the government arts colleges or constituent colleges, they are doing extremely well. They have gone for PG, they have gone for PhD, they are doing well. If they are not having the fee structure like this, they can't do that. When we go for NEP 2020, implementing all those things, it is fine. I'm ready to accept the curriculum. Now coming to the implement point of funding. Now Association of Indian University has to join with all the states and come out with the planning of the funds for that. I think the time is going to end, and there are a lot of questions. So many stalwarts are there. I was only raising the question. I was telling about how I implemented a simple way. I just adapted the best possible thing of your NEP 2020. I introduced from 2021. That's what I would like to say to Dr. Thiruvasagam. And each one them are doing in the best way. And I wish this program all success. I think the next speaker might have come.
Thank you, sir. I would like to thank the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Kaliraj sir, for the insightful presentation on equity and inclusion in higher education. Sir, we just have, I would like to give one question, which has been, there have been quite a few, but I would like to post one question at this moment, as we're just a little behind time. It's a question from Dr. S. Umabadi. How are we going to recognize the current MPhil degree holders, especially those with MPhil and seeking for a job, if you are going to abolish the MPhil program in NEP?
Shall I answer?
Yes, sir, please.
Nothing can be implemented on this spot.
Okay.
I'm going to continue MPhil.
Okay.
Let the stakeholders say we don't want. It is the stakeholders. You have so many things in your shop. Each one has a liberty to purchase the item of their choice. As such, MPhil, to my personal opinion, it doesn't have much value. Because now a lot of opportunities are there for PhD. Set exams, so many things are there. But you have to give some time, give 2-3 years. Let it have the natural death, MPhil. Why we should close now? I have not closed.
Thank you, sir. I hope the person got a clarification out of it. Yeah. Sir, now as a session chair, with your permission, I would like to request our next speaker, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor O.R.S. Rao, who will be speaking on the theme Catalyzing Quality Academic Research, sir. With your permission, I would like to introduce the Vice Chancellor of the Institute of Chartered Financial Analysts of India, University, Ranchi, Jharkhand. Professor O.R.S. Rao has over 40 years of experience in industry, academics, and consulting and research. He is also an alumnus of Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, and National Institute of Industrial Engineering. He has introduced and nurtured an innovative PhD program in management for working professional, which is one of the best in India. He has published a number of papers in reputed journals and addressed seminars in India and abroad on diverse topics like strategy, technology, industry analysis, higher education, and career planning. Under his leadership, the Institute of Chartered Financial Analysts of India, University, Jharkhand was ranked among the top 10 private universities in East Zone of India. Now I'd like to request Honorable Vice Chancellor to deliver his theme address on catalyzing quality academic research. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Sir, are you able to see the PPT, sir?
It is still not visible, sir. We can see your screen, but you can start sharing the slide. Yeah, now it's visible, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So, respected Chancellor, Dr. Ramchandran, Dr. Thiruvasagam, Vice Chancellor, of the AMET University, the chair for the current session, that is Professor Kaliraj, Vice Chancellor of the Bharatiya University, who spoke with a lot of passion on the how he is improving things in the Bharatiya University. It is very, very impressive and very motivating for all of us. And the distinguished vice chancellors and other participants for today's e-conference. At the outset, I would like to express my gratitude to Dr. Tiruvasagam and the AMET University management for having given me an opportunity to share my thoughts on this very important topic, that is catalyzing quality academic research. On going through the website of the AMET University, I was deeply impressed with the type of the research ecosystem that was developed and nurtured by the university, and also the research output that has been coming out of the university, particularly in terms of the quality PhD graduates that are coming out who have worked on interdisciplinary areas. More important is I noticed that more than 45 patents were filed. That is something that, I was pleasantly surprised to see that. Very rarely we come across that kind of a thing, among the Indian universities. And also I noticed that when we are talking of the interdisciplinary nature, I have seen the AMET University sort of totally focused on sort of a one domain, that is maritime education. They introduced this starting from the undergraduate programs. Like you got something like BBA and BCom. In a BBA we have got something sort of a shipping, and the BCom with regard to the logistics and shipping management. And that is something unheard of. Normally this kind of things we see only at the post-graduation level or the research into that. So no wonder the university is ranked among the top 5 maritime universities in the world. My compliments to the promoters and the management of AMET University on this great achievement, which all of us are really proud of. And particularly myself, though I have done my first education, that is the BTech from IIT Madras. Those days called Madras, now Chennai. And I worked in Chennai for a long time. Because of that, I have a lot of emotional attachment to Tamil Nadu and Chennai. So there, sort of you are doing a great job. And I was also deeply impressed with what Professor Kaliraj has mentioned about what's happening in the Bharatiya University. With the permission of the Professor Kaliraj, I just wanted to mention that Tamil Nadu is the first state in the entire country to introduce learning management system in all the colleges. So much so when the COVID-19 has come, all the universities and all the colleges had no other choice but to go for the online education. Every university, every college, they have followed their own format. Tamil Nadu is the first state in the country to standardize the learning management system on Moodle, and they have trained the various faculty members on how to use Moodle. I think that is something that, that is where, more than talking, Tamil Nadu has, demonstrated to the country that, yes, the proof of the pudding is in doing things, not just talking into that. So, of course, that is not something, with regard to the topic, but I thought I should, this thing, pay accolades to what is happening in Tamil Nadu. Coming into this topic that is sort of given to me, the catalyzing the quality academic research. In this, there are 3 keywords. One is the academic research, a quality academic research. Third is catalyzing. Sort of, academic research has been going on, and quality is there. We don't say across the board, but it's in pockets. And yes, there is need to catalyze that. I think that is where it comes. So just to introduce our university, we are part of the ICFI group, which has got a pan-India presence. We have got 11 universities, and covering, in the Northeast. In the Northeast, we have got 5 universities. What we believe is we need to service the underserviced or underserved population. That is why we have gone to Northeast. and we have got seven ICFI business schools which are known for the management education. As far as our university is concerned, we offer a range of undergraduate, postgraduate, and PhD programs in multiple disciplines in the engineering, IT, management, and law. The mission of our university is to groom our students into competent professionals with values. I would like to underline and highlight the second part of the tagline what we adopted. Yes, no doubt, the sort of the mandate of every university is to create good professionals and good citizens, but at the same time with values, with good character. That is something we believe that is very important. So competent professionals, in our view, they should have knowledge relevant to the profession. They should have hands-on professional skills, the soft skills, attitude, communication, team working, like that. And more important is good character. Our belief is the character formation can happen only in the part of the education. When once they move into the industry, after that, somebody with a good character will grow. People with bad character, dubious character, they fall out. Nobody will there, to reform them, including the values. Wow, we also believe that that is important for a sustained success, not just instructional success, but a sustained professional success and happiness in life. So that is something we sort of believe, and all our programs and what all we do in our university, they are all aligned with that mission. Then coming into the NEP 2020 and the academic research, the NEP 2020 document, the coverage with regard to the academic research is not very exhaustive. It is less than 2 pages, that is pages 44 and 45. From those 2 pages, I try to call out, what are the important kind of highlights out of that. One of the principles of NEP 2020 is promoting high quality research as a prerequisite for providing outstanding quality of education and growing and sustaining a large and vibrant Indian economy. The academic research, there it is taken that, yes, it should help in, 2 objectives. One is to impart good quality education. Second is it must help to grow the economy and to sustain the economy and make it very vibrant. And the NEP 2020, it also recognizes the need for the robust ecosystem for the interdisciplinary research to address the problems of the country. Because after that, the other things I've added, when we talk of the country, it includes the economy, industry, and the society. And particularly during the current situation, what we have been going through for the last about a year. It also recognizes that the evidence from the world's best universities shows a strong correlation between the culture of research and knowledge creation and teaching and learning processes. And that is known to all of us for a long time. If you look at all the Ivy League universities, or you look at the universities into the top ranking under the Times Higher Education or Shanghai, all of them, they are all the ones with very good kind of ambience of the research and knowledge creation. And they also have leveraged that into their teaching and learning processes. And it also in the NEP 2020, it also talks of some enabling initiatives. It talks of a funding support through the National Research Foundation. And this, I believe, is on the lines of the National Science Foundation that is done in the case of United States. And as far as the funding support is concerned, excepting for saying that it is there'll be some funding support through NRF. It doesn't talk of what is the quantum of funding, though it also gives a comparison that the India's the investment with regard to research and innovation, it is 0.69% of the GDP versus a 2 to 4% in the other comparable economies. In China, it is 2.1, and countries like smaller countries like Israel, it is 4.3. But in the NEP 2020 document, it doesn't talk either in terms of the percentage of GDP or the absolute funding and how that is going to be funded. Sort of that clarity is not there. Likewise, wherever this kind of a funding is there, like all over the world, yes, apart from the government funding, there has to be funding, through collaboration from the industry. While in India, the individual universities, like the IITs or maybe the IIMs or the Bharatiyars and Bharatidasan at the Anna University, they have done a lot of work with the industry and they are able to get the funding. But whereas across the board, as far the country is concerned, what is the kind of a model for funding? There also, though there's no clarity that is there, and in terms of how they rope in the kind of industry into that and how they incent them into that, and for that, it's not there. In fact, as a matter of fact, as for the industry interface per se, not much focus was seen. Maybe it is there in the dotted line somewhere, but I have not seen a very clear evidence of that in the document. It is mostly in terms of the ecosystem of the entire education, but linking it with the industry, because the industry one that is going to be employing all the students. There, I think the linkages are not very clearly visible, though it may be planned into that. And it also talks of motivation of the faculty by giving more weightage to the research in their career management. Already there is a lot of focus that is there, and I believe that they want to give a lot more focus, by giving more weightage to the faculty members in terms of the research. So looking at this, what I thought was, some of the NEP 2020, it's an excellent directional document. And particularly, I'm not talking with regard to the other facets of that, with regard to school education, college education, vocational education, excellent thought that were there into that. A lot more detailing we could see in that. But as far the academic research is concerned, maybe sort of they need to do sort of some more sort of getting into more detailing into that with regard to on how they want to accomplish the objectives that were meant there and how that is going to be funded. And also, like, in fact, this kind of a policy document, looking at the diversity of the country and the diversity of the education institutions, whether it is in terms of the size or in terms of the geographies that they operate, and also looking at the federal structure of India, where the higher education is a concurrent subject. Maybe I feel that there is need for working out more details before we implement it. It's a good document, but I think a good document that has to be converted into a document that is implementable. And as Professor Kaliraj has mentioned, that has to be accompanied by a strategy. And we also need to understand the various issues and challenges and then work out a workable kind of a plan, implementation plan, involving all the stakeholders, including the state governments. Sort of otherwise, it will continue to be a very good policy document, and the fruits out of this document may not be visible or may not be realized to them. Then very recently, while UGC, there were a lot of regulations with regard to the academic research and particularly with regard to the PhD programs. Possibly for the first time, UGC in the September 2020 came out with a document called Good Academic Research Practices. That's a fairly good document that we have seen. And in this document, certain things, highlights I try to call out from there. First thing it says, there must be public trust in academic research and its output. That's a very, very important point. Because the public trust, when you say public, it means not only the citizens, but also the industry and all the stakeholders, all of them, including the government, whether it is the government of India, the central government, state government, all of them must have a trust in the academic research, that is pursued by the universities. Sort of on this point, I just want to give one example. And we are all aware that, last something like, maybe about 10 to 11 months, the COVID-19 has been causing unprecedented havoc, not only to the economy, industry, and to the people at large, to the mankind. And the only antidote for that is a vaccine. In fact, Professor Kaliraj has mentioned about the vaccines and considering that that's the discipline that is coming with the biotechnology field. And today, there are 4 vaccines to the best of my knowledge that have come into the clinical trials phase 3. That means that they are into the last stage. And the clinical kind of a trials phase 3, normally that lasts something like in about 3 months time, 3 to 6 months time, considering that they have already started. And we expect that some kind of vaccine will come. And out of the 4 vaccines, as per the knowledge that I have, one of the vaccines, it is developed by the Oxford University. When we talk of the kind of academics and the academic institutions, their role in addressing the contemporary problems, this is a standing case where the Oxford University, no doubt it is known for the quality of education, but ultimately this must help to serve the cause of the society. And this vaccine that is developed by the Oxford University, along with with the industry cooperation with AstraZeneca, that's again a UK-based company. And this vaccine, it has got lots of fuss apart from the kind of the efficacy that is there. This is the vaccine that can sort of stand at temperatures higher than the vaccine that is sort of claimed to be developed by the Pfizer. Pfizer is talking of it requires a minus 70 degrees or 80 degrees to preserve that. Whereas in the case of the Oxford vaccine, there it can sort of withstand, it can be stored at sort of a levels or something like it could be minus 2 degrees, or maybe for extended times it can be with a plus kind of a degree into that. Second is in terms of the pricing. The pricing that is expected to be available. In fact, this vaccine, the Serum Institute from Pune, they have tied up with them. And it is expected to be available for the limited population in India from the February 2021, on an increased basis by April 2021. It is going to be priced at 1,000 rupees for 2 doses. That means 500 rupees. Whereas the ones from the Pfizer or the Moderna or Sputnik, of course, the Russian vaccine, we don't know the pricing about that. And this vaccine is priced at 500 rupees per dose. And Oxford University went on record to say that for the governments, they are willing to give it at $2 to $3 per dose. So here I'm trying to highlight the fact that sort of an academic kind of institutions, when they get into research like this, one for a mankind like this, I think today the Oxford University, more than the THA ranking or all others, it is known, very well known by the society all over the world to have introduced a vaccine of that standard. Not only that, sort of there is a magazine called Lancet. The Lancet, the November 2000 issue, not November 2020 issue, it gives more details of the vaccine that is published by the Oxford University, whereas those details are not available about the 3 other vaccines. The point I'm highlighting is when an academic institution gets into a research, whether it is an academic research or whether it is a research in collaboration with the industry, there, apart from getting a good solution, the knowledge is shared with the society. So I'm confident that, yes, when once, the Indian academic institutions also will come up, and we will come up with solutions, to address the COVID-19, whether it's, in terms of the vaccine or otherwise. Of course, all this, is not to undermine. There is another vaccine, that is being sort of developed by one of the CSR laboratories in collaboration with a company in Hyderabad called the Bharat Biotech, but that has not yet reached the phase 3. But of course, we expect that it may come to some good shape in some time. So the other points that come in the kind of, the document that is prepared by the UGC, it says that, a quality, impactful and ethical research, and it should have a focus on publishing the outcomes in high quality journals. That's another very good objective that is there. And it also talks of a culture of responsible and quality research supported by robust policies, procedures, etc., with the governance structure it talks of. And it emphasizes the point of the research integrity across the research cycle, starting with the selection of the research problem, research design, conducting the research, documentation, and dissemination. And it also says that all the stakeholders, the scholar, the guide or supervisor, whatever name we give, university authorities, all of them must have a common stake in the research integrity based on a set of shared values. It also talks of creation of, Office of Research Integrity as the entity responsible for the implementation of guidelines. A very good document and very good sort of principles are there, good practices are there. Sort of a, I think, the next stage would be like there, if we can look at some case studies and how these kind of, principles or practices that are enunciated, how they're implemented in the Indian research ecosystem and the Indian academic kind of research that is done. I think that will help a lot of universities, to implement. As Dr. Kaliraj has mentioned, yes, there have been islands of excellence, but that will not do. In fact, in India also, like Indian Institute of Science is a kind of center of excellence as far the research is concerned. But sort of one university cannot make the kind of a difference for the entire society. So I think that is the second thing that can come. After having said that, what I thought was sort of a, yes, what is that I should talk? And particularly with, such a distinguished audience and, you have done such a pioneering work. So for this, what I thought was, let me just talk, sort of something what we have done with all humility. Like, in fact, we have started a part-time PhD program in management for the working professionals. It's a part-time program and it is in compliance with the UGC regulations. So this is a program what we launched, a few years back. So I thought, let's just share our own experiences. Some of them are good, some of them are, sort of all learning experiences to that. And I thought that this could be useful for, some of the kind of academic fraternity. I think that is the only purpose of that. We are not bragging and we want to advertise and say that we have done a great job. It is just sharing of our experiences. That is the only purpose of this. So our PhD program, it's a part-time program, in management. The premise of this program is there are a number of experienced working professionals, be it in industry or could be in the academy also. For whatever the reason, they could not pursue the research, as a full-time research because of various compulsions, but they are very keen on doing quality research to address the live industry problems, leveraging their own experience. And in fact, my background is, I have not been an academician all through, and my experience is a 50-50. At 27 years, I worked in the industry. I worked in the manufacturing, then IT industry with the HCL technologies, going up to the top level as sort of a CEO of one of the group companies. I worked with the GMR group as CEO. Then I moved into the academics. Typically, the real life problems, they don't come in silos. They don't come and say, I belong to this category, I belong to this discipline. Most of those problems are, multidisciplinary problems. And to address these problems, the approach has to be multidisciplinary. And that is where we believe that, the industry people, they have their own experience and whatever problems that they have been seeing, they are very keen to address them. That is the premise with which we started the program. And by the time we introduced the program in 2012, there were not many universities offering a part-time program focused on the working professionals. But subsequently, a lot more other universities, institutions have come up into that. So a few things what we have done to ensure that the program is a success was, one, when we select the kind of a candidates, the selection of the candidates is on the basis of an online research aptitude test conducted all over India in multiple locations. And earlier we used to do it in the kind of internet centers. And this year we have done it, we allowed them to take the test from home with a remote proctoring that is driven by artificial intelligence. So because there we made use of the technology so that all of them, they could take the kind of a test from home. And for this, the first batch registered in 2013, the first PhD award was in the late 2016. So far, we have awarded 30 PhDs. And out of them, over 35% of them are in the interdisciplinary areas. And we keep tracking how much time they take. And there have been some people that have taken within 3 years from the time of registration. Some have taken 4 years, 5 years. The average time that is taken by the 30 PhDs is 3 years and 10 months from the time of registration. And these are examined by 2 external examiners. Currently, we don't have an examiner from abroad, and both of them are from India. And typically, these examiners are from the premier institutions like IITs, IIMs, or the BHUs. And not to say that the other universities are not good. I think that is a model what we approached. were adopted into that. Today we have got over 100 active scholars on roles from 19 states in India, including Jammu and Kashmir and the northeastern states. And something like about 5 to 6 of our scholars are from Chennai also. And they pursue over 35% of them are in the interdisciplinary topics. And they come from diverse industries. 25% of them come from the academia. The balance of them, they come from various industries, manufacturing and services, and services, banking, IT, telecom, consulting, healthcare, multinationals, private industry, government, PSUs, defense, are not into that. And there's a very large diversity in terms of geographies and also the industry and profiles. In terms of the functions, they work in manufacturing, marketing, sales, HR, finance, and one of them is in practicing law and also general management. And the experience levels are from 5 to 30 years. Average is about 13 years. We don't advertise for the programs, and most of the candidates, they come through word of mouth and referrals. And it is our the students, the scholars that are pursuing the programs and students that passed out. And today, in the kind of both in the industry circles and academic circles, it is believed that it is one of the best programs. We don't say it is the best. It is one of the best programs, one of the best alternatives for a sort of industry person to do this thing PhD. And this is the partial list of organizations where our PhD scholars have been working. You can see something like IBM's, TCS, Accenture, and Dr. Reddy Laboratories into pharma, or IIM Ahmedabad. He is a research assistant there. Sort of, he's not a faculty members. Banks and public sectors and defense forces like the whether you've got Army and the Air Force, Reserve Bank of India. These are the ones. So how do we make it happen? So a few things, like what all I'm mentioning, I'm not mentioning the normal things that are done by most of the universities. A few things through our own experience, what we learned and we try to incorporate. Those are the ones we are trying to put. It's not to say that we are the only ones. Maybe so many other universities like, even AMET University also may be doing it. In selection of the candidates, what we do is, besides the eligibility conditions like the test and interview, considering that the PhD program is a long haul and it's not a fixed tenure program, and apart from it requires a lot of passion, it requires a lot of hard work, and it requires a lot of perseverance and determination. One of the factors we identified is ability to sustain the passion on a long-term basis. We notice that sometimes somebody will have a fancy, will say that I want to do research, I want to join the PhD program, but after that when they find the rigor of the program, or when they find that they have to dedicate a lot of efforts for that, and particularly for the working professionals, sort of they are all typically in the middle age groups, and they've got a family. Professionally they are into something like a middle tier or top tier. They find it difficult to sustain that. So one of the factors what we notice is ability to sustain the passion on a long-term basis. This is one thing we judge in the interview. And in the initial days, to be honest with you, we could not do that. But later when we saw that, yes, there were, a few people that dropped out because of job change, transfer is there, marital sort of some change is there, various things that are there. The second thing, what we noticed is the selection of the research problem. We believe that is very critical to the contribution of new knowledge. We noticed that, because I have interviewed a lot of people that come for our own applying for jobs, I ask a lot of them, why did you choose this particular topic? Back comes the answer saying that, sir, my guide or research supervisor asked me to do that. I ask another question, how did you do the literature survey? Sir, my guide gave me the list of articles. And guide also told me that these are the pages to read. And in this process, typically, maybe I don't say that it's happening in the premium institutions, but in a number of universities, the PhDs that are turned out, typically they are all clones of some research that was done already. In fact, Dr. C. Rangarajan, the former governor of the Reserve Bank of India, in one of the recent seminars, he ventilated his kind of a feelings. He said that most of the PhDs that are being turned out in India, he said they are all clones. They are all done. One person does it, and after that, changing a little bit of semantics, somebody has done it, in Chandigarh, and after that, maybe, it is done, in, let's say, Bihar, or, it is done in West Bengal, or it is done this population and becomes this thing into that. And, he also has mentioned that, today, or not only he, but also the general feeling is, it is the research supervisor or guide that plays a vital role in deciding the topic. It is akin to, like in fact, for a what you call undergraduate education or a postgraduate education, if a parent decides what the son or daughter must do without taking into account the interest of the student or the son or daughter, and ultimately they do something, maybe they don't put the heart and soul into that. So keeping this in mind, we give a lot of accent to this. Number one, as a university, we have got a research policy. What are the directions and where we want to do this kind of a work? Second is, we leave a lot of freedom to the scholar, considering they are all mature and they are all coming from the industry. And we ask them in the application itself, what is the area in which you want to work? In the interview, we grill them, what is that you want to do? And, is it sustainable? Is it workable into that? We facilitate the scholar to navigate from a very broad area to a final topic from the time of admission, going through a kind of interview process and coursework 1, coursework 2, all these things, we grill them. And only after a broad research problem is identified, we allocate a research guide. What we noticed in most of the universities, when once somebody joins the program, the first thing that is done is allocate a research guide. And while it is good, we notice that, at times, it may curb, it may inhibit some kind of, innovation and creativity on the part of the scholar. We have seen a lot of cases where the student is interested in something, guide will force them to do something else. And this is something we don't want to happen to our scholars. Third thing is, the research integrity across the cycle is a non-negotiable value. And across the board, not only faculty members, research guides, all of them into that. And we have got, good governance mechanisms in place to ensure that. Then, yeah. So the leveraging the diversity of the scholars, having a close-knit community of the scholars, create and nurture. Having a good diversity is good. We have to use it for the benefit of our scholars. Keeping that in mind, we have created a close-knit community through a Google group and WhatsApp groups, and we have meetings with them, whether on this or not, something like every Sunday we have got meetings with them. And so that, yes, not only in terms of doing the PhD, we believe that when somebody is doing a PhD, more so for the working professional, we don't want them to be isolated. Just like in a class, you will have a lot of peers, wherever they are into the country, into that. And they need to have a mutually supportive role into that. And problems, issues that are there, they sit and work out into that. To make that happen, we built a close-knit community of the scholars that is created and nurtured by the university. We don't leave it to that. As for the resources for them are concerned, we have created a learning management system called Swadhyay. There, for the purposes of the research, we have got a whole lot of material that is there. And we got research article, research proposal, PhD thesis, ebook, seminar paper, it is so much of that. But it is available only for our research scholars. Monitoring and facilitation, we have got monthly reports, 6 monthly progress presentations. What we noticed was earlier we used to talk of a report, but once we make it as a presentation, most of the scholars we have seen, they are very conscious because they don't want to give a shabby presentation. So that being the case, yes, they kind of, they come up and they do good presentation because they find that they have to do good work. Otherwise, they don't want to be they don't want to be looked down upon. Another thing innovative what we introduced to us, every university gives a grade sheet for the coursework. We started giving a grade sheet for the 6 monthly progress presentations. Not only for the presentation, but the 6 monthly progress what they made on multiple parameters we take. and give a grade. Because what we noticed is a student is a student. Because after all, whether they are 50 or 60 student, because when you give marks, when you give a grade, it is motivating. So in this way, once we give a grade and various parameters, and good aspects, somebody is enthused. I got something into that. So that is another thing we introduced, and all our scholars are very happy with that. And considering that they are all the people coming from the industry, publications is something new to them, unlike the academicians or the faculty. And a lot of time they have not published anything at all by the time they came. And typically in the meetings, what they do, they make, a PowerPoint presentations. So we have conducted workshops on the publications in the index journals, and the mentoring is done by the guides into that. And as far as the evaluation of the thesis is concerned, we have got 2 external examiners. We do due diligence before, selecting them onto the panel. And another thing what we do is we have got a structured format for evaluation of the external examiners.
So
yeah, I'll just complete that. For the evaluation, what we know is some of the universities, some of the examiners, they say that, you leave it to me, I'll give it whatever you want. In some of the universities, we notice that it is a single sentence, whereas in our case, the feedback is given in a structured format. For this, the examiner has to read the entire thesis. Another thing as a practice, what we've been doing is the evaluation feedback without naming the examiners. If it is approved, we forward to the scholars and we expect them to revise the thesis, because he's still a student. We don't want to keep it a secret. We tell them these are the areas where you have to improve and give a revised thesis. That is the one that will go onto the records. That is the one that will go into the internet. At times it may take a little bit time. Certain things they may not be able to do, but they have to give an ATR saying that, why they could not do that. We feel that it improves the quality of the research that has come out. And before this scholar is awarded PhD, and tomorrow maybe coming from the industry, they may join academia. Possibly this person may be guiding another research scholar. It is on the basis of a very thorough knowledge, what is evaluated, his own impressions are corrected before doing that. And last but not the least, we service our PhD scholars as a valued customer, not just as a student that have come for knowledge. We collaborate with him. We believe that producing good quality research is, it is a mutual interest. It's not to award a PhD for each candidate. And we understand the problems, issues that are there, a personal touch that is there with every one of them, and empathy. We understand they go through various challenges and problems, particularly working professionals. And at the same time, we don't want to dilute the standards. We comply with the principles of the research integrity. The scholar in our university, the scholar and guide are not left alone by the university. The entire university is committed to support as a team to ensure a quality research. We notice that there's nothing like we can't get a perfect guide, and we supplement the guide, because the guide can have certain capabilities we need to supplement. It is part of the university's mission to make it happen. But at the same time, let me tell you, we are learning. We continue to learn every day. We continue to learn from everybody, including our research scholars and our examiners. What are the benefits out of the program, what the university has got and students have got? We work on the research problems and issues of interest to the country. Because of paucity of time, I don't want to get into what are the topics on which they have got into that, Something like a disaster management, in schools, elementary schools, what are the issues that are there into that? Something like a technology adoption by the industry, like what are big technologies we talk in terms of that. Similarly, with regard to the attitudes of the teachers and what is the linkage with the quality of education that is delivering into that. Some of these topics, we believe that they are useful, whether it is education, whether it is industry, or whether it is society per large. Our faculty members were benefited with more domain knowledge. When I say our faculty members, our research guides and supervisors. Maybe the person has been teaching marketing, but he didn't work in pharmaceutical industry. Understanding marketing in pharmaceutical industry is a different ballgame. Or marketing and telecom is different. Marketing and education is different. And marketing and IT is different. All our research guides are benefited with more domain knowledge of our scholars. And our students are benefited not only by better quality of teaching from our faculty members, because the faculty, they have got a much better experiential knowledge into that. But also our PhD scholars, sort of, we make them give guest lectures to our students. And as per the recent guidelines of December 2019, our PhD scholars, we want to give them a orientation on teaching. That is something we are incorporating as a part of the coursework from the current year. And this has helped us to have a better industry interface, and it has helped us to open up more opportunities for internship and placement opportunities for our students. Because the PhD scholar who is working in the industry, he is with us for 3 to 4 years minimum. And he has got an attachment to the university into that. Sometimes the attachment is sometimes more than an alumnus into that. And that is something that we are able to get the benefits out of that. In a nutshell, a quality academic research, it is essential not only for ensuring quality of education, but also for the development of country as a whole, particularly during the current unprecedented situation. Research integrity, that is the processes and outcomes, are equally important. It's not that one versus the other. Lots of challenges are there, I do agree with you. Lots of challenges are there, but they are all doable. In fact, talking of our PhD scholars, and they can't sort of, when they are working in the industry, they can't spare full time from something like a 9 to 5.
Sir, may I
What, yeah, I think only 30 seconds. There, what we are doing is we conduct the coursework sessions. Now we are conducting online. These sessions are conducted in the morning from 8 to 10 and 7 to 9, so that they don't miss the kind of industry. In fact, so today onwards, once another sessions are going on to that, there, our entire, academic ecosystem has to be adapted. I wonder, most of the universities and colleges will not be prepared for extended times for a few months together. If they have to take classes early in the morning, 8 o'clock or 7 to 9, it's not easy at all. Because that is where I thank our team, our faculty team, to make it happen and collaborate and cooperate on this thing into that. So that's where challenges galore, but it's doable with the commitment of the entire university, starting with the top leadership. That's what we believe. It starts with this thing into that. Thank you very much. I know I have sort of taken a few more minutes than that was allocated to me. My apologies to the sort of a session coordinator for this. Thank you very much for giving an opportunity to share a few thoughts. Purely experiential. I'm not going to give any sermons into that. Thank you, sir, very much.
Thank you, sir. So kind of you. We could understand that the NEP 20 from your presentation is nothing less than a blueprint to make India a seat of multidisciplinary research and innovation, provided if the researcher has the ability to sustain his passion. So we had a few questions. Just to wrap up, only one question I'd like to post here from Dr. T. Selvakumar. Is there any system available to connect the IITs, universities to connect with faculty and students of affiliated colleges and self-financed colleges to upgradation of research culture? Is it okay, or should I repeat the question, sir?
Yeah, I understand. So, so my views on that is, while as far as the coming from the IIT system and understanding, like we have been having some kind of linkages with the IITs. So when initially there were 5 IITs, and subsequently more and more IITs have come. So one strategy that was adopted by the government of India was they have got the concept of mentoring institutions, and whereby the institutions, the IITs that are in that region, like one of the senior IITs, they made them as a mentor institution. With the result, something like, in the eastern region, it could be IIT Kharagpur, or in the southern region, it could be IIT sort of a Madras in Chennai, or like that into that. And likewise, the thought is that, even for going forward also, the government has got a loud thinking that the premier institutions, which are ranked very high in the NAC rating, and they should mentor the other institutions, in the neighborhood. While that's a very laudable objective, so far we haven't seen a clear structure for that, nor resources for that. And this kind of idea, I have been talking to some of the senior faculty members and senior administrators in the IITs. What they say is, their hands are full with their own jobs, because so many faculty positions are not, for sort of filled up. They also have got a resource crunch. And with that, what they say that, yes, they're finding it difficult unless and otherwise. There's a structure and there are some resources for that. That's an excellent, kind of, question that is raised by sort of one of the participants, sort of a doctor, I forget the name of the person. And I think, in order to spread the kind of goodness and spread the kind of, the eminence all across, I think we need to have a mechanism for that. And that mechanism, I think the government, as a part of the NEP 2020 or otherwise, I think going to articulate that and make it happen. Unless we make it happen, we continue to have the islands of excellence, and maybe the average quality of education will not go up. I think those are my thoughts on it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that nice explanation, sir. I would like to now invite our next speaker. Before we conclude for the break, the first session, I would like to now call upon the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor R.P. Tiwari, who is the Vice Chancellor of Central University of Punjab, Bathinda, Punjab. Sir has over 36 years of impressive academic as well as administrative experience. He has been the Vice Chancellor of Dr. Hari Singh Gaur Vishwavidyalaya, which is the Central University at Sagar in Madhya Pradesh. He is a doctorate in geology from Guwahati University, a specialist in earth sciences, which also includes paleontology. He has served as Dean, School of Earth Sciences and Natural Resources Management, and Head of Department of Geology at Mizoram University. He was also conferred with the L. Ramarao Birth Centenary Award of the Geological Society of India in the year 2012 for a significant contribution to Indian stratigraphy and paleontology. Sir, it's a pleasure to welcome you to this forenoon technical session, sir. Over to you for your theme address on emphasizing multidisciplinary higher education system. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Colonel Dr. G. Thiruvasagam, uh, on all my panelists, co-panelists, Professor Kali Raj, Vice Chancellor, Bhartiyar University, Professor O.R.S. Rao, Vice Chancellor, Ekfai University, Ranchi, Registrar of the University, and all those who are privy to this very important webinar organized by Academy of Maritime Education and Training. Uh, my compliments to the university administration, particularly the Honorable Vice Chancellor, for having thought of organizing this webinar on very important issue, covering almost all aspects of NEP 2020 and roping in eminent academicians of the country for this webinar. Secondly, I'm extremely sorry for not being able to make it on time because some new very emergent thing cropped up, and so I'm late. Of course, I could listen to Professor O.R.S. Rao, who has made very elaborate presentation on catalyzing quality academic research, citing several examples, and also speculating several scenarios of quality academic research in the country and how this can be enhanced, how quality can be enhanced, and how uh, the uh, the number of quality researchers can be increased and all other various aspects. I missed listening to Professor P. Kaliraj, who has in fact deliberated on a very important issue, that is equity and inclusion in higher education. This has been the issue right from the start, and all education policies have intended to bring democratization of education and access of quality education and affordable education to large section of the society. I'm sure that the type of background that he has and his connect with the higher education for several decades. he has given new insights on this issue, coming to emphasizing multidisciplinary higher education system in the country. This has been the focal point in NEP 2020, and there is separate section on this very topic. And I was listening to Professor Rao, and he has also touched on this. And while he was talking about the research schemes funded by various funding agencies of the nation, recently, when we talk about multidisciplinary higher education system, it includes both our UG and PG programs that are offered, and also the research component, because multidisciplinary approach has to be adapted in the research also. For example, if we see during the last 15 years, the top prize for the academicians, that is Nobel Prize, it has gone to those researchers who are involved in finding solutions to the problem of the humanity in collaboration with other disciplines. So as we all know now, the era of core discipline has gone, and because there is saturation, and if we see all new emerging areas of not only the academics but also the research, both they are in the border areas and they are in the overlapping areas of different disciplines, and therefore it is utmost important that we inculcate the habit in our youth to learn things in the multidisciplinary manner and understanding all interconnected or connected concepts while dealing with any branch of education, not only science, but also humanities, languages, and and all other disciplines, encompassing all other disciplines, including the various disciplines of sciences. And though there are some basic premises mentioned in NEP 2020 as to how to bring multidisciplinary, but those are basically, actually, those are conceptual frameworks. And now, University Grants Commission is working to bring out implementation plan as to how to actually translate the concept of multidisciplinary higher education, both in teaching as well as in research. And I'm hopeful that within a month and a half, a policy document will be finalized, like in several other key areas of NEP. So this, when this document comes, and experts from across the country have been roped in to prepare implementation plan for this. Now, as we all know that NEP 2020 stipulates for setting up of MERU, and this, the basic framework as to what would be the guiding principle for this type of special universities. The conceptual framework is already there in AP 2020, but the guiding principle as to how to go about it, what are the various disciplines which are to be combined at the study level and then at the PG level, all these things would be, in fact, given by General Education Council, which is the fourth pillar under Higher Education Council of India. So this General Education Council will be mandated to provide policy framework, implementation plan once it is finalized by University Grants Commission. So all these things will come. Now, if we trace back the history of multidisciplinary education, not only in higher education, but also in the school education, then our country is luckily is the pioneer in offering multidisciplinary education, right from our most ancient system of education, what we now know as a Gurukul system of education. There, if we see the list of subjects which were taught, they run up to 16 subjects, and the skill oriented courses, what we call arts, those were called arts, now we call them skill development programs, skill development courses. They run into 64 if we see the list. And you know, this was left open to the learners to pick up subjects, to pick up combination of subjects. It was not a rigid system what we have now, that we have defined the framework of subject combinations, whether it is in science or engineering or in humanities, social sciences, languages. We provide a rigid framework of structure of the programs, particularly the UG level. So this delimits, in fact, the very idea of multidisciplinary approach in education. So now this new education policy is going to open to break this boundary, break this rigid fragmentation, and provide a scope for to establish interconnectivity between different subjects, try to work out common concepts operating in different disciplines of sciences and also across science subjects. And this way, you know, the NEP 2022 has conceptualized to enhance the canvas of multidisciplinary education and give real benefit to the society. Now, you know, when we talk about multidisciplinary higher education system, then we all know that there are four components of education system. One is the curricular framework that provides multidisciplinary or the subjects, the informed choices that and the informed selection of subject combinations that students would like to have. So this is the one component. Another component is that, you know, if we really want to inculcate multidisciplinary mindset in our youth, then there should be matching content of interdisciplinary component in the syllabi that we frame for different programs. So this is very important. And then third one is the pedagogy, where, you know, we really train students. For example, if we are teaching physics, we are teaching instrumentation, particularly those parts which are used in music and other things, then we correlate it with the music. Then likewise, you know, in any other subjects that we have, like the principles of chemistry subject per se that we teach our students, so we have to connect it with, with biochemistry, with pharmaceutical sciences, and with even the botany, because with zoology. So all this, what could be the connection between one subject and its allied, cognate, and relevant subjects, not only limited to that domain of knowledge, but also across disciplines. And that is why recently, you know, UGC has devised a very good research scheme, which is called STRIDES. And there, if we see, component 3 is completely devoted for transdisciplinary research. Now, even, you know, multidisciplinary term is not covering the amount of, you know, the interconnect that various disciplines have. And that is why new term is emerged. I mean, now it is used as transdisciplinary approach in education. So, you know, this, of course, you know, this transdisciplinary approach is larger manifestation of multidisciplinary approach only, but it's, it operates on much more bigger canvas than multidisciplinary approach. So this, and then third one, and the last component is our evaluation tools. You know, the good about this NEP, why we talk so much about NEP 2020 and why we have a lot of expectations is that several things, but one thing that catches my imagination most that is learning outcome, curriculum framework, LOCF we call it here. In Western countries, it is known as graduate attributes. You open the website of any Western good university, you will find that for each programs, graduate attributes are defined. That means, once a student pursues a particular program, what are the attributes that he will develop in himself? What is the quantum of knowledge that he will gain? What is the quantum of understanding about a particular discipline that a student will gain? So this is already defined. This was not happening in our country. Last 2 years, UGC has worked very hard, and now for almost 90% of the UG programs, undergraduate programs, I'm not talking about engineering and, and medical programs and other professional courses, but the traditional courses, almost all the disciplines, few are of course left. UGC has already defined learning outcome-based curriculum framework. And there's already in NEP 2020 a lot of emphasis on learning outcomes. Yes, student, if I'm offering a MSc program in botany, student must know what is the outcome, what is the learning outcome that they will have after pursuing MSc program in botany from, say, Central University, Punjab, Batinda. So, it's sort of client. They are our clients, and so therefore they should know what we are offering to them, and what they will and how their learning capability will enhance, how their learning domain, cognitive domain will develop after pursuing this program, and how they will develop global competencies in them. So right from here, when we define learning outcomes or graduate attributes, we should introduce the element of multidisciplinary approach in learning, and then only we really train them at the learning level, whether it is UG or PG program. Then only we can expect our youth to involve themselves in multidisciplinary research. So this right from the start, as we call it, catch them young. So from there itself, the first when they enter into graduation level, the significance of multidisciplinary learning has to be taught to them, number one, and how they will develop, how they will conceptualize multidisciplinary learning, and what are various facets of this, and how a particular subject is interconnected, and how its principles and concepts can be utilized in other subjects, and how these, how the multidisciplinary approach is going to solve the problems of the society, different sections of the society, say farmers, or businessmen, or any other service sector of the society, how that is going to serve the problem of society. And that is what is the beauty of multidisciplinary approach. From unidisciplinary approach, now whatever problems, solutions we had to give, we have already given. Now the solutions, for the high-end problems that we have and we want to resolve, we want to provide high-end solutions, then this approach is must. So here, in a program, we have X number of courses. All courses may not be having relevance or connect with the other disciplines. But some of the courses which have connect, so those connect is to be established at the syllabus level, and there should be enough modules which establish connection between other disciplines, and then those modules are to be defined, those concepts are to be defined. When I was in Sagar, what I did is, just a side example, just to make my point clearer. We have this coursework in PhD programs, all of us we know, and we in Sagar we had six department, life science based departments, and all these departments before I joined, they were offering, say, research methodology course individually. Like botany, they were offering research methodology course separately, zoology separately, biochemistry separately, biotechnology separately. microbiology separately. So what I did is that, in all these disciplines, the instrumentation, the same instrument is used in all these disciplines for conducting research, for collecting, for analytical facility. Same instruments are used. So, and the same approach is same. Then why separate, research methodology course? So I told them to devise a common research methodology course and establish connect between these 6 sub-disciplines. So, 4 units in each paper that were taught in PhD program in the coursework, they were common, and then the last one was discipline specific. So this way, and the same thing can be repeated, though I wanted to do in sociology also, in social science and all, but that could not happen for different reasons. So, this way if we approach research and this as well, then really the canvas of multidisciplinary education, higher education can be increased, and really the benefit that we intend to give it, provide it to our stakeholders, students, that can come. Today morning I was in a very good program. That is Atal Academy. AICT has set up Atal Academy, and this Atal Academy is is funding 1 week faculty development program in emerging areas of science and technology. This is 3rd year. Today, uh, 46, there was inaugural program of 46 FDPs. And these 46 FDPs are to be offered by 23 institutions in the country. Now, why I am referring this, what is the connect with today's topic is, there all the programs are multidisciplinary. And the faculty is trained in multidisciplinary emerging areas of science, engineering, and technology. So, once the faculty is trained, then they will certainly, whatever, new inputs, new ideas they get with such degrees, they'll certainly translate it to the students. So this is one aspect. Another aspect is that we know that there are specialized universities dealing with high-end engineering and technology like IITs, NITs, etc. There are some universities which are multidisciplinary, and they are offering engineering also, they are offering medical also, though now antithesis has happened, because in most of the universities earlier, the engineering, medical, Ayurveda, everything was operating under one umbrella, under one university. For example, take the example of BHU. There was Institute of Engineering, Institute of Medicine. But now, IIT, this Institute of Engineering, Institute of Technology of BHU is now separate IIT. Institute of Medicine is now also trying to become AIMS. So, the multidisciplinary approach, in the university, when we have students and teachers across the disciplines under one big umbrella in one campus, then multidisciplinary thinking will evolve, and and they will adapt it also wherever they can. So this, but now, see the idea of the founder of Banaras Hindu University. He said that all domain knowledge will be offered through BHU. But later on, defragmentation. Institutes are going out. So, so that is what has happened in various states. Why I am referring is that because through this we are killing the spirit of multidisciplinary education. Every state has developed its own university for engineering. So engineering went out from the universities. Then all medical, states have medical universities where all medical colleges are affiliated. Earlier they were affiliated to, and even on campus there used to be, teaching in medicine, teaching in engineering and all. So this, and so affiliation now is dealing, and all we have specialized universities for affiliating different branches of knowledge. So defragmentation. So this
Right, reminder, sir.
this now again the idea of is emerging very clearly, and we are trying to figure out as to how to bring this concept. And for this, universities should be multidisciplinary. Of course, some universities can be only for learning, like teaching. Universities can be research, but again, research and learning go together. So the research focused universities, learning focused universities, and degree affiliating higher education institutions. But the multidisciplinary approach in all these three type of institutions that are envisaged in AP 2020, it has to be there. Then only we can really practice in the campus of higher education institutions. And there are several ways to do it. And the most important way is, as this very university under the guidance of student vice chancellor is doing this, that we have to propagate the idea of the advantage of multidisciplinary approach. And like now, it is not only the syllabus and the course content of the major or the course or the core courses. Even when we offer major electives and minor electives, there also how we can evolve courses which can interest the science graduates also, some humanities courses, some music courses, how open elective courses particularly, which can attract students from, though we have choice-based credit system, but the fact is that open elective courses that are normally 8 credit courses out of 90, if we have to say, I'm talking about PG program. So open elective courses, 8 credits, if we, we can have a very long list, but in reality, only science students are opting for open elective courses concerning science and social science, and humanities, languages. They are not opting for open elective courses of science background and vice versa. So this also has to be done, and for this, we have to understand the mindset of the youth, what interests them, and even we have to tell them that how, say for example, music graduate or postgraduate, how he will, why should he learn the instrumentation part of physics? Because that is going to enrich in domain knowledge, and that is how where even new areas in music can be worked out. So like this, large scale effort is required. And we all know that for every new experiment in education, for introducing any new paradigm in education, the teachers are in the focal point. They are central to implementation. So teachers also need to be empowered. Sufficient faculty development programs on interdisciplinary important significance of interdisciplinary education has to be introduced. I gave this suggestion in AICT program also today, that all these FDPs that they are offering, they have already offered around 400, and they have designed around 1,000 courses, and all these are connected with various branches of science, with environment, with climate change. So these are to be integrated in our education system, those FDPs, so that the benefit of those also goes to the traditional universities, and the message of significance of multidisciplinary approach goes across the higher education institutions. And the other important point is that we should also educate our students. They are the takers. Whatever policy programs we can devise, actually takers have to be alert. They should know that this is for them, this is for their benefit. So two-way campaign, training of faculty members and training of the stakeholders, changing their mindset and orienting them towards multidisciplinary education is need of the hour, and this is the only way through which we can be competitive at the global level. See the structure of foreign countries where a lot of emphasis on experiential learning, and not and you see not only that what to learn, but how to learn. And that, that approach is to be followed here. And with this approach only can bring success, and we can really emphasize and re-emphasize the significance of multidisciplinary education. And it is multidisciplinary education, not only discipline wise, of course discipline term is there, but also different types of systems of education are also needed to be integrated, like regular form of education, then distance education, skill education, skill development programs, vocational courses. So this seamless, migration from one education system to another will also facilitate, in fact, multidisciplinary higher education. And the last thing that I would like to say is that the academic credit bank, which is very prominent, which finds prominent place in our NEP 2020. This will also strengthen multidisciplinary education, in a sense that what is the basic idea there is that student can be enrolled in any university, for example, in a university, and for a program, but he can be enrolled for a course if that attracts him, which is offered by, say, our university or IIT Bombay or Maritime University. If my student would like to pursue a course related, which is offered in your university, sir, so this will provide opportunity, and that would be online, because student cannot be present in both the places. So enrollment of students will be there for a program in any university, but 50% of the courses he can pursue from the university where he is enrolled, or she is enrolled in the program. 50% credit he can earn from other higher education institutions. So this will also facilitate multidisciplinary learning to our youth. So all these are the changes for good that are happening. Now it is for all of us. All of us means for the vice chancellors, for the directors of higher education institutions, for teachers, to get benefit of multidisciplinary learning alongside several other new paradigms that are stipulated in NEP 2020 to our youth, and make them globally competent, and so that they can prove their worth, they can get job anywhere, because India is not sufficient enough to provide job to everybody. And working outside is not new concept for us. For us, Basudhaiva Kutumbakam concept is there. We can serve anywhere. So for serving anywhere on this globe, we have to make ourselves competent, and that competency can come through one of the ways to develop that competency. Our youth is multidisciplinary education. So let us uh, all of us, whatever contribution we can make, let us make towards multidisciplinary education. So this is what I wanted to say. I'm again thankful to Honorable Vice Chancellor for giving me chance to express my views on this very topic. Though I could not be present on time, I may be excused for that, but I'm really happy, and that I saw all of you and I listened to Professor Rao. So thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, sir. So kind of you. So we wish the multidisciplinary approach of NEP help us to create a resourceful manpower with a higher order thinking capacity and teamwork. Sir, we have two quick questions. One to Professor Rao, and we have one more question for Professor Tiwari. So first question I would like to put it to Professor Tiwari, sir. As per the new education policy, how the new regulatory bodies and funding agency will help the benefits of private higher education institution in multidisciplinary research funding? Should I repeat the question, sir?
Yeah, no, I have listened to it. We have not gone up to that stage. As I said, that we are working out the implementation plan, procedure. We all know that as on date, nothing has happened. Higher Education Commission of India is not set up, and all four verticals are not set up. But one thing philosophically, talking about that the educational needs of the learners cannot be met with public funded institutions.
Right.
So private institutions are must in a country like ours.
Okay.
So, so there has to be policies and programs so that both coexist, both flourish, and both act as a complementary to each other. That is very important.
Okay.
We can't say that these are two separate learning systems in the country.
Okay.
We have to integrate these two systems, and that is why PPP model is to be adopted, number one. And the since you know private institutions, higher educations institutions are must in the country uh, to serve, to make access to quality education for large section of society. Therefore, these institutions, there should be some regulatory framework to help, and not only help to protect, help, so that these institutions grow and they continue to serve the education needs of the country in a much bigger platform. So that that is there, and that I think this approach is there. And I'm quite hopeful that this will be reflected in whatever policies and programs and regulations that we make in future.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'll just post one question to Dr. Rao, sir. It's from Captain R.K. Kumar. The new education policy has stressed that research must be productive. In other words, research for research sake should give way to purpose-defined research. This goes against the current criteria that a PhD thesis need not worry about its immediate contributory value. I request your valuable advice on this, sir. And I also request Professor Rao, sir, after this answering this question, you can give the conclusion remarks for this technical session one, with which we'll wind up, sir. Thank you.
Great. So, no, thank you so much, Captain Karthik. Uh, it's a very good question, and not only it's a good question, but today that is one of the major challenges or one of the issues. For a long time in the academia, uh, we were content with saying that if a researcher knows the research methodology, that is all right. And whereas this kind of a thing is not accepted internationally, you just look at the PhD program of any of the universities abroad. There, the most important kind of a tenet of any PhD is the unless and otherwise the scholar brings out a new knowledge, a significant knowledge kind of addition to the respective domain is very critical. And then the research methodology will come. So to that extent, one of the kind of a challenges or one of the issues has been, with our academic research in India has been that we are saying that, as long as, somebody has followed a research methodology and, he has done the analysis using SPSS or something, that's fine. But the end result has to be, there has to be what is the knowledge addition to the concerned domain. For some reason, it looks like that, sort of in some of the universities and some of the institutions, we lost track of it. So to that extent, I think, we have to bring in, that kind of a focus back into the system. And it has happened, it's in the very, very recent years. If you notice, maybe in India also, in the Indian universities, maybe if you take some 20, 30 years back, that focus was there. But over a period of time, possibly I don't want to blame it on any system, when once, the minimum qualification for appointment of associate professors has become a PhD program, PhD degree, then there's a rat race and, there's everybody is, angling for, PhD. I think, that is where I think somewhere, I think what has happened is we lost track of that. So my belief is, yes, these two, they go together. Number one, the quality of the research is defined by what is the knowledge addition to the specific domain. That has to be there. That is where to start with, as I mentioned. One, of course, if you're talking of, the national kind of research foundation, if you're talking of, like I'm trying to sort of get into some comments on Professor Tiwari, as I was mentioning. The first thing is there has to be certain national priorities for research. And those national priorities, if you take the countries, like for instance, Israel, the national priority for them is security. What would be the kind of thing that is there in security, their country focuses on that. And if you see something like China very recently, they brought in certain focus areas. They said that artificial intelligence for solving their problems. They said it is one of the focus areas. So that way, country as a whole, I think India must define these are the research priorities for the country, and including the technology, and also looking at what are the problems that are there, social problems or other into that. Then, in fact, as a matter of fact, quite some time back, we used to have certain things called the national missions. So some kind of a missions we got to look at understanding what are the problems that are there in the country. These national missions, will be the priority areas for research. For this, they have to put together not only academia, but also the industry and the various other research institutions into that. And if required some help, we need to take from somewhere else. Abroad, we got to take the help. And the purpose of this mission is to address these specific problems. And the academia also, from out of that, maybe we can take certain things out of that. And correspondingly, the government may do some funding for that. Similarly, at an institutional university level, my belief is, I think every institution, depending on where they are located, what are the domains that they are addressing, for those domains, we need to have a research policy. The research policy will delve on not just only with regard to the procedures and various processes, it also must give some defined directions as to what are the areas in which this university will focus on. And when we register the scholars for the PhD, maybe the university must look at that, not only simply the guides. That is my view on that.
Thank you, sir.
No, did I address the question, Captain Karthik?
Yes, sir. It's pretty much clarified.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Well, sir, now we have come to the close of the forenoon session. I would like to thank all the speakers of the forenoon session, Dr. R.P. Tiwari, sir, Dr. O.R.S. Rao, sir, and Dr. P. Kaliraj for giving the theme address on all these strategic points. Now, with this, our forenoon session comes to an end. We will be joining with you all again at 2 p.m. So I request the participants to join us back again at 2 p.m. where we will be discussing about the theme about effective governance and leadership in higher education, then reimaging and restructuring of HEIS with technological interventions, and finally motivated, energized, and capable faculty in higher education. So we have some interesting themes to discuss in the afternoon session. So I request all the participants to break for lunch and join us back again at 2 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Vanakkam and yeah, Nandri.
Thank you.